So I have this article pulled up for a reason. I want to show you the date, June 16th, 2017. Quite a while ago, right? This is back when Reggie was in charge of Nintendo of America. It was good times for them. He was really good at PR and really kind of just talking about fun and gaming. And then he left, and I don't know what they're doing now, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But this is what he had to say way back in the day. This is a while ago. It seems like 2017 was like, it seems like it was years ago, considering the fact that 2020 has been just disastrous. 2020 feels like 7 years in one. But anyway, this is what he had to say. Making political statements are for other people to do. We want people to smile and have fun when they play our games. I think that that's actually a really good statement. This is one of the reasons why I really like Nintendo. And then they did get a little political. This happened around June, if you remember. This is when, we had the whole BLM thing blowing up and there was a lot of destruction going on. And that's why when you kind of bend the knee to stuff like this, it's not so much what the meaning of that is supposed to be. It kind of seems like you're just bending the knee to the mob. And Nintendo held out for the longest time. Every time Nintendo made a tweet on Twitter, the mob would come in there and say, why don't you need to bend the knee? Why haven't you made a statement yet? Like a statement would really do anything or change anything. But they finally did do it. And a lot of people were like, what are you doing, Nintendo? Like, politics aren't supposed to be what you're about. And it's kind of just been forgotten. They just made one little blanket statement. And this was Nintendo of America, by the way. I want to make sure that's clear. It wasn't the Japanese branch that did this. It was the American branch. So Nintendo came out, gave this statement, and that seemed to please the mod. They kind of just went away. And that was it. And then the election rolled around, and we had politicians using Animal Crossing to kind of appeal to young voters, which was really cringe. Joe Biden had a little island in Animal Crossing. I think AOC had one. Look at this. Team Joe, no malarkey. So cringe. Nintendo doesn't like this, though. So it's kind of a little case of too little, too late. It's almost like they waited to make this statement. It's like, we don't want to say this now during the election. We'll wait till it's all over, and then we'll put this statement out. So it's like at the same time, it's like, I like this. I like that you're saying don't use our brand for your platform. But also, if you were going to say something, the time to say this would have been during the time they were using your brand to push politics. I think Nintendo looks back at this and says, there's like 75 million people that voted for the Orange Man. Maybe we shouldn't make them feel like we're moving in a certain direction, and we'll say something now. And in my case, it's like too little, too late. So here's what they had to say. Because Animal Crossing has been used by a lot of companies and organizations lately, from politicians to furniture stores to talk shows, Nintendo has decided to lay down some rules for what kind of content these groups can and can't use in their game. This being Nintendo, there are some catches. The full breakdown can be read here, Animal Crossing New Horizons usage guidelines for businesses and organizations. But for the purposes of this post, we'll look at one point in particular. Among the expected stuff like do not engage in activities that go beyond age rating and do not deceive others while using this game is this. Please refrain from using this game inappropriate or creating any content within the game that would be considered vulgar, discriminatory, or offensive. Please also refrain from bringing politics into the game. And it's like, well, too little, too late. Now, of course, Kotaku's mad about that. They're mad because they think, and in some ways, I kind of agree. Like, if you buy the game, Nintendo has a history of doing weird stuff with people that stream their games, too. If you remember, there used to be, like, the Nintendo Partnership Program, which everybody hated. And it was like, if you were streaming their game or you made Nintendo content, let's say you made, like, Nintendo game walkthroughs or speed runs, like, you had to sign up with the Nintendo program, partner program or something. I don't remember exactly what it was called, but you would sign up for that, and then you had to give them a percentage of your revenue. And if you didn't do that, like, they would copyright strike you. They finally got rid of that a few years ago, and that was the smart thing to do. Personally, I feel like if you buy the game, you should be able to do whatever the hell you want with it. Okay, and it's transformative. As much as I don't like this cringy political stuff, it's like if they bought it and they want to use it, I guess it is what it is. But if Nintendo really wanted to push this kind of statement, why didn't they do this during the election when it was happening? It's like, well, we'll just wait now, and we'll kind of take this half-assed response to it when it doesn't even really matter. That island's probably deserted and abandoned. No one's using it now. It's like, good on you, Nintendo, for finally saying something way later, months later. When did they do this? I don't even remember when they were doing this stupid island thing. I feel like it was like back in what? August? September? I guess it wasn't too long ago, but it's like that would have been the time to say something. And they just wait till the last minute. Eurogamer put something out as well, kind of going over the same stuff. The real meat is over on Twitter, where people are on here and saying, like, this guy, Rear Hardcore VR, says, little too late, ain't it? Which is true. Driftwood says, good, I don't mind politicians gaming as cringy as it can be, but F off with the campaigns, especially in games mostly meant for young children. Well, that's kind of what the point is. They're using it to hook up with the youth. Like, that's why they're on that game. And Animal Crossing is still extremely popular, by the way. It's still, like, top of the charts. And Dr. Death here says, good for them, but it's a little late, which is true. 100% true. It's too little too late. It's like, you should have said something before. But I'm mixed on this. Like I said, I feel like if you buy a game, you should be able to do whatever you want with it. However, using it for a campaign, maybe that's a little bit different. I'm mixed on it. However, the purpose I wanted to do this video for was to blast Nintendo on being half-assed, and this is an attempt to appeal to everybody because you know why they're doing it so late. They're doing it so late so that they don't blow any like people out of the water and get everybody all pissed off on Twitter. And this is kind of like them taking the cuck route because it's like, well, we'll say something now, but we didn't say anything when it was actually happening. It's kind of a cowardly move. It's a cowardly move. They should have said something when it happened, and they didn't. So I don't know. I'm interested in reading the comments on this one. How do you guys feel about this? Do you feel the same? Should they had said something at the time? Is it a cowardly move? Do you think that the campaigns did nothing wrong? I'd like to hear from you. Also, if you would, throw a like up, share the video, make sure you're still subscribed. Subscribe if you're new, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.